when you learn from your own journey, from your own experiences, from your own mistakes, there's no greater learning than that. And I'm just talking from my own experience, you know, whether it's in my personal life, whether it's in my professional life. Take my professional life, for example. You know, I came into the industry with no sort of padding, godfather. You know, I was literally thrown into the deep end. I mean, of course, am I grateful for the opportunity that I got? Yes, but that was also a function of my hard work. I had obviously done some kind of work that Farah Khan saw, and you know, she decided to cast me in Om Shanti Om. But I was absolutely raw, naive. I had never been on a film set before. So, and I always thought that that's just the way it's going to be. I'll always be well presented, taken care of. You know, people will make sure, my directors will make sure that, you know, I perform well. They'll make sure that I sound correct. And then I think when that experience ended, and I kind of remember them telling me, I remember Farah and Shah Rukh both telling me that we're always here for you. And I was like, they're just saying it out of formality. What do you mean you're always here for me? And for me at that point also, it was like, even if I had a situation in my life, I'm not going to call Farah Khan. I'm not going to call Shah Rukh Khan. Like, I can't be, you know, I'm confused about something. How can I call Shah Rukh Khan and ask him? And then I kind of felt like I was now on my own. And I now had to take my steps forward, just exactly like Rumi says, just
as you start to work.
Yeah, just discovering it as I went along. And today, when I've, you know, I've walked quite a lot of that journey. It's now easier for me to look back in hindsight and say, wow, you know, I could have gotten lost. I'm sure I got lost along the way. Of course I have, not sure, I have gotten lost along the way. But I think that's what enriched my life. It enriched my mind, it enriched my soul. I was able to understand who I am as a person. I was able to understand the people around me. I was able to understand different experiences and different situations. And all of those experiences and that journey of walking alone and discovering as you go along has brought me to where I am today. Totally. I'm extremely uncomfortable with dishonesty. I'm extremely uncomfortable with filters. I am someone who embraces vulnerability, you know, and I'm also someone who's willing to accept my mistakes. I'm someone who's open to confrontation and having a conversation. Because for me, my heart and my soul has to be very clean. You know, it's not like I'm only doing right things all the time. I'm sure I make mistakes. I'm sure, you know, I faltered along the way. But I think to understand why I do what I do, why I did what I did, why I felt a certain way, if I was disappointed about something, if I was hurt about something, if I have been hurt. I think where I am in my life today is not to just sort of push it away or question it. I think where I am in my life today is to acknowledge it and to embrace it. And the only way I know today, whether it is in my craft or outside of that, is to be honest. So I guess, you know, that's probably why the performances or the crying or any other expression or emotion probably touches you, because it's
but
not.
Do you
it's
feel in a scene, you know, in Gehraiyan, while I was watching, there maybe I'm a little more perceptive. I'm very emotional, Deepika, and I could see that you didn't have to use glycerin in that, because I see your emotions swell up from inside. Was that happening for real, or am I?
No, of course, of course, and that's what I say. I mean, even as an actor, my endeavor always is to just to try and be as honest as possible, and the camera picks up everything.
The camera picks up.
So yeah, I think all I'm just trying to do is just to be extremely truthful and honest in that moment. And yes, there will be days when, you know, where it will happen, but there could be days where you don't.
Where you don't. True,
you
true.
know, and but that's the exciting part of being an actor.
True.
For the second part of your question, why be imprisoned when you can...
Have you felt like you were in a prison?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Again, at so many levels, you know, whether it was me battling mental illness, whether it was me struggling with my identity, when I spoke about that, you know, when that period when I felt lost and I was struggling with who am I and who is it that I want to be. All of these things make you, you know, it's so true to the quote that you just read out. But what I also realized, and more so through the journey of this film, is that people also don't voluntarily choose, or at least most people don't voluntarily choose to be imprisoned. A lot of times you're imprisoned because
you're conditioned to be imprisoned.
Because either you're conditioned to be imprisoned, or your circumstances force you to be imprisoned, or you don't have the strength or the courage to step outside of that prison. So I think there are so many factors that lead you to do what you do or not to.
Not to, yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's one of my biggest learnings.
To not be in prison and seek for help.
Yes, that too. I mean, that would be my advice.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think, you know, I can't be telling people don't be imprisoned. But what I can do is say I was imprisoned in my own mind, and I've had this beautiful experience of coming out, and it's so liberating.
It is.
And my life has only gotten better from there. And the only thing you can do is be empathetic and also be authentic and honest in your journey, and hope that people will pick up from that. So I think in the initial years of my career, it was really about wanting everything, wanting to do everything, saying yes to everything, saying yes to every opportunity, every brand, every film. And then you come to a stage in your life where actually you're actually filtering, and you're saying, I feel like this is going to better my life, these people are going to better my life, I'm going to enrich their lives. And then automatically, I think the minute you, at least the way I look at things is, I look at everything in my life today with purpose. And if there is meaning and purpose in what I do, that is my biggest filter, then I do it. Otherwise, it's eliminated.
And do you think you have some kind of movies that you know that you are not going to be a part of?
Of course.
Yeah?
Of course. I'm very sure today of course, it's not about saying no, but it's about saying, okay, I think this is who I am today, this is what I've grown into, and this is who I've evolved into, and therefore some of these stories, some of the characters, I don't resonate with them anymore. And not to say that it may not be a good film, or it may not be, but it's just different from where I see my life today. And yeah, and in fact, Om Shanti Om was not the first film I was offered. I was offered a lot of films, feature films, before Om Shanti Om actually happened. And just the other day I was thinking, I said, I surprise myself sometimes about how at 18 I had the clarity to, first of all, decide, and then how did I say no? They were from big, and they continue to be
really
big superstars, and huge production houses, well-known directors. Anybody in my position at that time would have said yes to it. I don't know what I was thinking, but I remember thinking to myself at that time more than anything else, and I think it comes back to just being honest. I remember saying, it's a great opportunity, there's no doubt, but I'm not ready for it. I had just become a model. I had just come out of college and school, and I'd just become a model, and acting was not my immediate next step. You know, I was enjoying modeling, and so when these films came to me, as much as I appreciate and value and respect those opportunities, I just wasn't ready for it. And I think, you know, at some level, I'm proud of myself that I was able to have that sort of clarity. And I mean, I've gone on to work with those producers later on, which also means then I also handled it well, and I handled it correctly.
You said no, but in the right way.
Yeah. And again, I think as long as you're honest about your decisions and you communicate that honestly, there will never be bad blood. There can't be.
Yeah.
So yes, I have said no to a lot of things, and it's, in fact, like I said, most of it, I have certain filters today, and in terms of Shah Rukh, in fact, was the first person, and then coming back to what I was saying earlier, and finally Om Shanti Om happened. He was the first person to tell me, amongst all of the wisdom that he was sharing with me, he said, baby, always remember to work with people you know you're going to have a good time with.
Wow.
Where you know you're going to enjoy yourself. And as a 21-year-old, again, every day I was working with Shah Rukh. Every day he'd have some sort of wisdom. Anyone who knows Shah Rukh knows that he's full of wisdom. And for me, that was a huge learning. Every day, something about something or the other, I'd keep learning. But this one thing really stayed with me. That's been another filter for me,
Nice.
especially when it comes to movies. Life happens as you're making a movie, and it's extremely important that you enjoy the people that you work with.
True.
Because then, even if a film doesn't do well, at least you've had a good experience.
True.
What is, I guess, the most painful is if you don't make a great film and you've had a bad experience, then that's just disaster. Yeah. So
it's a waste of life, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that that again was great wisdom. I'm glad I held on to that. I'm glad I listened, and it's purpose. If I had to sum it up today, it's just you're given and you work to get to a place, and you're given this opportunity to be able to impact and to touch people's lives through my work or otherwise. And so for me, if I didn't do that,
Nice.
I feel like that's an opportunity wasted.
Yeah.
So I really do wake up every morning thinking, how can I be a better person? How can I push the envelope? How can I bring meaning into everything that I do? And how can I do things differently from the way they have been done historically? And so everything that I do today is driven by meaning and by purpose, and is to make things better from where they already are.
Fine.
At least the endeavor is that, the attempt is that. I may not succeed, but at least I wake up with that intent every morning.